I do apologise if things are a bit funny. Hopefully though, fingers and toes crossed, this might work. So it's been a little while since I've done one. So I'm just trying to make sure we've got people in. Yay. Okay. I'm just going to zoom a little bit so you guys can see a little bit closer for that. Okay. Hey everybody. So I've got a bit of lag happening on my iPad. So this is what we're going to be making today. This is inspired by the amazing Claire Stead. Hi Jolene, how are you? With all her amazing cutout letters, and I just had to do a Christmassy one because you know, it's Christmas. So for this, I'm using my black journal. You can use any journal you want. This one's really handy actually if you're doing cut because it's got the dots in it. It's one of the new Dilution ones. Hi Tanya. But any journal you've got, if you don't have a black page, you might like to paint the pages black. Totally up to you. This is the background page, and again, if you don't want to do this cutout bit, even this on its own would make a really good Christmas card, art journal page, scrapbooking page, even just doing the background technique for this. So there's lots of technique-y stuff in this that you can change, adapt, do whatever you want with, because it's one of my classes, and if it doesn't look the same as mine, that's perfect. It means you've done a really good job. So that's what we're doing today. So we're going to work in steps. We're going to start off with making the background for our Christmas tree first. Then we'll do the background for the page. Then we'll do a bit of the cutting. Then we'll do the finishing off bits, and then we'll finally do the stamping on the acetate. So if you don't have any acetate, obviously that might be an issue for you. You don't need to have this bit. It just adds a little bit of extra decoration to it. This is the Dina Wakley acetate, but to be honest, I've gone to my local newsagents and got sheets of acetate, or if you've got, you know, a leftover bit of a laminating pouch, you could use that as well. Yeah, whatever you've got is one of my classes, so let's just use what we've got lying around. But my area is a bit clean at the moment, which I'm a bit proud of. I'm very well, thank you, Jolene. Yes, we had a beautiful summer's day yesterday. It's raining and miserable today, but that's the way it is in Tasmania. But it was just a really nice summery day. Just by chance, we happened to be down at a local market and down near the beach, and it's very festive. And then it's yeah, we went down to the beach with the kids after their bedtime, so they were happy and they got wet, and yeah, as is. Tanya, I'm not sure. It looks clear on my end, so I'm not sure how to do anything to fix that for you. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to start off with just a blank piece of paper. You can tear a page out of your journal if you want. Use a piece of card, whatever you've got lying around. This is card, it's thin card, but you know, whatever. So this is a bit of a collage matrix. It's something I do a lot of. You've probably seen me do backgrounds like this before, but they're really, really handy things to have to do die cuts out of, or cut up for backgrounds, whatever you're using. I'm just going to be using a sort of rainbow array of colours because that's what I like, but if you wanted to go for the more traditional sort of greeny colours, you can. But we do want it to be a bit mixed up, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect, but we want to have different happening. So just go in with whatever you've got, if you've got enough paint left in your thing. So I'm using my Dina Wakeler paints just because it's sitting here. Use whatever you've got. And my rule for this is I tend to put it in 3 places and I just brush it out until there's no more paint left on my brush, which means pretty much it's dry. And then I go in with another colour, so whatever colours you want. Oh, good. Hi, Janine. How are you? Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all after so long. I have been hibernating a bit. And I know people have sort of asked, when are you doing new classes? But this year has just been nutso with my new job. Next year is probably going to be the same because I'm actually, now my little kidlets are in full-time schooling next year. I have to go back to a little bit more work, so still try to keep everything up, but it'll be busy for a while, I reckon, while I get my head around it all. So again, 3 spots, no rhyme or reason to the 3, it's just I don't have to think about it too much. So usually when you're sort of mixing colours like this, you do need to make sure they are dry so that you don't mix and get interesting colours. Because I'm spreading the paint out so fine, it's pretty much dry. If you're worried about it, just hit it with a heat gun. So you can make this look very, hi Susan, very sort of patched. You can see mines are all fuzzy on the edges. Just do what makes you happy. If you want to use a particular colour scheme, go for that. So how is everyone anyway? What have you all been up to? What amazing crafty stuff have you been doing? And is anyone painting along with me? Or are you all watching? I'll just fire all the questions at once. I am going to dry this bit off because I got it a bit too wet before I put my next colour on. Hopefully that's not too loud for you. Just watching, excellent. Well, if you do anything crafty while you're watching, make sure you take a photo or 2 and share it with us because we'd love to see what you're up to. This is going to come out in a big blob for me, isn't it? Yeah. And I did kind of spring it on you all. I haven't been very organised about it. So, yeah, I didn't give you really much warning about it. Oh, Christmas cards. Still eating dinner. Well done. My children excelled themselves tonight. They actually are asleep. My eldest has been deciding that she likes sleeping. She can't sleep, so she goes to sleep late. But obviously we're tiring her out this weekend, so she's asleep already. Just watching. Tanya, has that blurriness gone away for you? Hopefully it's a bit clearer now. Just getting paint everywhere, as you do. No, it hasn't. Maybe try logging out and logging in again. That might help a little bit because it's still looking clear on my screen and a few other people have said it's clear. Could be my really wonky painting, however. Okay. So as I said before, show them breakfast food is. Oh, how did your shoulder reconstruction go, Pamela? You've been in the wars a bit. Hopefully this is you on the up and up now. You can obviously do any colour scheme you want. You know me, rainbows are it. If you want to do a bit more mark making over the top with other colours, you certainly can. And if I was going to do that, I'd just put out a little blob of paint, get a small paintbrush or whatever. And again, if I'm doing mark making, I tend to do it in 3s, and I use the same marks. I just find that makes life easier for me because I don't have to think about it, and you sort of end up with those visual triangles. Now this is going to be cut up in all sorts of different weird and wonderful ways, so don't panic if you think, oh, I don't have it going everywhere. It doesn't need to. You can decide which bits of this you're going to use. Now obviously, depending on the size of the art journal you're using will depend on the size of the tree you make, or whatever shape you decide to cut out. It could be a big ornament. It could be something completely different. So totally up to you. This is just an idea. You take it whichever way you want to. So when I'm mark making, one of the things I do like to do is to make sure it doesn't stay in one colour area, that it spreads out through. So that gives you a bit of your eye leading through the page. The other thing that you can do, if you've got some pens around or something, is do a bit of dotty dotties. These are the really thick Posca paint pens. They're just good for splodging on. Now obviously you don't need pens to do this, because you could stencil, do whatever. It's just another way to get paint on there. I am going to let it dry though, because it's me and I will put my hand in it. Is anyone else up to anything? You know, now December is racing past us all. Anyone got any big plans for next year? Okay. Where have I put my... This is what happens when you clean up your room. Now I've got ink pads, but I have no idea where I put them. Don't suppose anyone can remember from my tour where I put my ink pads. Oh, that's just crazy. Panic over. I actually put them away where they're supposed to belong, that they're never usually there. So trying to finish it. Oh, that would be beautiful. My mum made my girls, well, they made, when my mum and dad retired, they worked on a project together and did a doll's house, and my girls love playing with it. So Erin tidied it up the other day when she was at mum's and decorated it for Christmas. So I'm sure your great niece will have lots and lots of fun with that. I know my girls absolutely adore playing with them. Okay, so I've just got my background stamps here. Any and all sorts, whatever you've got. You've got foam stamps. You know me, I like a good piece of text. So I'm using my archival coloured inks just for my base layer. Because we are going to be adding a little bit of water and stuff to this, it's probably a good idea to have permanent inks, but if you don't have them, you can work around it. So if you've got your oxides or whatever, you can use those. There's no big deal to that. But just be aware that if you're adding water on top of it or stuff like that, that it may reactivate. So I'm just using colours that I've got in the background as well. And I'm just going mad and stamping all over. So again, no real rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. Just putting some pattern on. Wow. Oh, how lucky are your great nieces. I had to laugh when Mum's very crafty. Dad is too. He does a lot of woodwork and stuff. But I had to laugh when that was their retiring. You know, this is what we're going to do together type thing. And it got to the end that I was really lucky that they didn't stab each other with the knives and stuff that they were using to sort of trim down wallpaper stuff. So it was a great lesson for both of them on how to work together. Okay. So just with the stamping in the background, it's just something a little bit subtle. You don't have to worry about it too much. I'm overlapping again. As I said before, this is all going to be chopped into pieces or done in different directions. So if you don't particularly like a bit, you can not use that bit. The great thing about foam stamps is you can get a few stampings out of them. So, right. Once I've got a bit of colour in the background, then I tend to go in with my black just to balance it up a little bit. Hi, Marissa. Do this one first, though. If you didn't want to stamp, obviously you could stencil over the top too. So, you know, or use collage. There are no rules for this. Do whatever you want. And if you've got like scrapbook paper, for example, that you want to use up, use that. So this is just another technique that you can use. You know me, I like to use everything in my arsenal. Please, 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 if you're going along and you've got questions or queries or, you know, just want to know stuff, ask. Okay, so little dotty patterns are always, I find, really handy. I never use stamps the way they're intended, because why would you? More dots here. Right, what have we got? Oh, need some script. So is it all freezing cold where everyone is, or do we have some Australians in tonight? I know we've got some Australians. I'm going to trim this stamp up. So this is a darkroom door stamp, which is awesome, but as you can see, because of the way it is, it actually collects a lot of ink, mainly because of the way I use it. If I stuck it down in a block, it probably wouldn't be like this. But the last time I did this, I got a lot of ink on, which I didn't want, so I'm just chopping it up. Don't ever be afraid to take scissors to your stamps, especially if they're not working for you. Nice evening in Queensland. Excellent. Oh, very hot in Sydney today. Excellent. +1 here, right? Excellent. I was actually saying to my husband last night when we were on the beach, I was never really a summery person. I still probably wouldn't call myself a summery person, but certainly with kids, it was just so beautiful to be out after tea, running around on the beach. So I've come to appreciate it. You know, before I was more than happy being a winter girl and hibernating in my little studio. All right. So look, stop whenever you're happy. I have got a lot on here at the moment. That's okay. It's nice and bright and cheerful. You can certainly go in and if it's too chaotic for you, you can go in and stencil over the top with some white, for example, and bring some white back into it. That will help. Or another colour, it doesn't have to be white. I think I might actually grab a yellow. Hey Nat, how are you? Busy, busy, busy. Oh, cool, thank you. My usual shove it all on the plate first. Okay. So you can see by adding just that little bit of different colour on there, that's brightened it up a little bit. Not that it needs more on it, but you know what I mean. I've got a very dark bit over here, but I could put some of those white dots back over that and that will brighten that up again a little bit, which will be good. There you go. So honestly, there's nothing that can't be fixed, which is what I love about mixed media. Now, one of the interesting things you may find if you are using the archival inks, they've got this funny little property that because they are oil-based, sometimes the colour does rise to the top. So you will get sort of, I don't know if you can sort of see here, there was a green under here and some of that white's gone a little bit green. I don't mind it, but just be aware that you might have that happening. Okay, one thing I would say to you is if you have got your final piece like this, before you start chopping it up and doing stuff with it, take a picture of it because you can then print that out and use it again. Or, you know, if you've got a die cut machine, you really liked it, you can print out 5 copies of it and make your duplicates. So don't ever be afraid to take a picture of your artwork, even if you use it just as a reference. So you can go back and go, oh, I really liked how that pattern worked. So I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm just going to flatten it down. Now, obviously, you could scan it and stuff if you've got a scanner, but phones are easier. Cool. Okay, next bit. While we're waiting for that, jump into our journal. So let's grab a journal page. So to do this, we will need to have 2 consecutive journal pages. As I said before, for those people who've just joined us, I'm using my black journal. This is the Black Dilutions journal that's got the, I don't know if you can see it if I hold it up to you. It's got the grid, the dots in it. So use any journal you've got though. If you want to have the black and white, if you've got another color journal and you want to paint it black, that's fine. You can paint it any color you want. So whatever works for you. But this is a page that I'm going to be cutting. Okay, so I'm going to turn that one over. This is a page I'm going to put my background on. And I am going to write in the background a Christmas carol so using O Christmas Tree. So you can write whatever you want. If you wanted to stamp on it, you could. If you just wanted to stencil in the background, you could do that too. In my original, I wrote really, really neatly. In this one, I'm not going to write neatly. I am going to be a bit loose and squiggly. And sadly, I need to look up the lyrics because they are so difficult, but I forget them every time. So I'm just going to write the whole way across. I know I'm going to be sticking something over the majority of this, but it really doesn't matter. I usually use a white Posca paint pen. This one is a Jelly Roll white pen. Yep, it is white. I've got a clear one too, so just checking. So again, this dot grid, if you're writing something neatly, is really good because it's got lines, but I'm really going to ignore them. And sorry for the silence, but I can't talk and write at the same time. If you've got any questions though, please ask. Very repetitive, isn't it? Sorry. I'm only writing out the first two lines of the poem, the carol as well, because really you're not going to see much of it. But if you wanted to write something else out, or if you want to write out your family traditions, or if you've got a very special family Christmas recipe or holiday celebration, you could certainly use that. And if you didn't want to write it, stencil it, or do whatever else you want to do. And if you were doing it, say, in a different coloured journal, you could certainly like paint the sky sort of a dark blue or something and put stars in the background. So just use this as your jumping off point. Don't feel you have to do the same. Oops, can't spell properly. Okay, sorry about that. That's a bit boring bit, but it just gives you a background. And particularly on the black, you get a really nice high contrast with what we're going to do next. Okay. Now, because I love text, I am going to use this as my snow. Maybe not that. My mother-in-law gave me this. It's midwifery for nurses, so you probably don't want uteruses and all sorts in our Christmas page. Perhaps not. There we go. Dictionary page. Oops, and now I'm having stuff fall down. Anyone else have that when they grab their collage and then think, maybe that's not appropriate? So I'm just going in and, you know, tearing some snowy background. Grab my glue, which I've hidden behind here. And obviously, if you just wanted to use white or if you want to paint something in, go for that. This is just me being me because I love text, just in case you hadn't realised that about me. So you've got some people making Christmas cards. What is everyone else up to? And eating dinner, which is very important. And Jolene's having breakfast, hopefully. Don't want anyone getting hangry. Okay, so we've got our background to this done. We're going to add more later, but we've sort of got the rough shape of what we want. So now what I'm going to do is grab my Christmas tree paper and decide how I want it. I actually like this bit down the bottom, so I'm going to be a bit sneaky with this. We're going to cut out a rough triangle-y shape. Now, you can draw it from the back. I just kind of actually want to see what I'm doing, so I'm going to kind of draw it from the front. I think I've got a funny angle happening here, but that's okay. Roughly. Okay, so I've got my Christmas tree. Now I've made that much larger than it needs to be for a reason. Okay, so I'm going to cut this into 3 sections. Or 4, whatever you fancy. I'll do 4. No, don't do that. Brain fight, Niamh. What are you doing? What are you doing? If I cut those out and overlap them, they're not going to be what I want them to be. Hang on a second. I need to think this out. I'm actually doing it a different way from I've done my example, which is a really stupid thing to do, because why would you do that? That's exactly what's going to happen if you do that, and that's not going to look right. Oh, you're silly. Can you see what I was going to try and do? Because I'm a bit dumb. This is why you practice before you actually cut. So you're watching what I'm actually doing. Let's go back and have a look at my original. Oh, that's what I did. Okay, so this is, anyway, ignore that last 3 minutes. This is a bit of my paper I wanted to keep. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is turn over, and I'm just going to sort of round it off into a rough Christmas tree-y shape. This is better. Honestly, this is why you practice before you actually do. Or you get your teacher to practice it before you do. Okay, so I know I've got the piece of my tree which I actually want, and I've just sort of roughly got a Christmas tree shape, and now I'm going to cut it out and curve my edges a little bit. Okay. You love it when you're live on stream and have a brain fight like that. I thought, oh, I'm being so clever here doing like this. Of course that works. Silly woman. Sure, you're all shouting at the screen. What are you doing? That doesn't work. Okay, so I've got my tree. Okay, now I quite liked this bit of my print as well, so I'm actually going to use that as my tree trunk. So in my previous one, I actually cut that all out as one shape, but I really like that little scallopy bit at the bottom, so I wanted to keep that. So that's why I've done it slightly differently. So when you've done that, then you can glue it all down. Now this is by no means finished, but I just want to have it roughly in place, because now we're going to go on to the cutting bit. So I sort of want to have a bit of an idea of what I will see through when I'm doing that. Okay, I am going to off-center my tree a little bit. For when I'm doing my cutouts. Okay. So like everything I do, feel free to stop whenever you like it. So if that's enough for you and that's all you want to do, that's fine. Okay, but we're going to keep going. So for our next bit, this bit is inspired by the wonderful Claire Stead. Please check her out on Instagram and on YouTube, and when I save this after the live, I will put all her links in for you, so you can go check out her stuff. But we've kind of been bouncing off each other a little bit at the moment with her amazing letter cutouts, and it's something that I've done lots of cutouts. Those people who have followed my channel before know I do a lot of paper cuts, but I've tended, when I've done lettering in my cutouts, cut out the letters, whereas in this I'm actually you cut out the negative space around it and leave the letters as a positive space, which gives you a little bit of fun when you're doing framing up and so on. So I am going to write on this what could I write? I wonder if I could fit in Holly Jolly Christmas. Christmas is going to have to go over 2, like the original. Ooh, light up the Christmas tree. Cool. I should have written that in the background, that song. I didn't even think about it until now. Right, so these are the alphabet stencils and masks from Dina Wakley. Now, if you didn't have these, do print out, was it Impact on your computer? Print this out and just trace around it, or cut them out and use them as a bit of a stencil. And you can get something similar. The other thing you could do, if you've got block letter stamps, stamp it out and then cut out around it. Could give you an interesting look as well. So there are lots of ways to get around it. People have also got lots of different, what am I going to say? Lettering stencils. My brain is cooked. I am so sorry. This is why in December things are interesting. So I'm just using my white Stabilo oil pencil just so you guys can see on screen. You can use anything you want to do this. You probably want something that isn't going to be too hard to see, just in the fact that because the letters are being left on the page, you are going to see it. So have something that can be removed or drawn over. If it bothers you that you can still see the lines. So you'll see that I'm putting my letters really, really close together. I'm also putting them right up to the top of my page, which is very unusual because usually when I'm doing paper cuts, I leave a bit of a border around just to help support the page and give it a bit of strength. But because I'm adding an acetate to this, that's going to help that process. So if you don't add the acetate, if you choose not to, which is fine, I would move this down and put a little border around, and I'll show you an example of that with the previous page, the sample page I did. Okay, so when I do my next letters, I am again overlapping them a little bit so they're touching. Okay, I don't want my letters obviously sitting separate because then it's not going to work. So they do have to be touching to do this. In some way, shape or form. Okay, so I'm going to have the down here. Now I have not planned out my spacing for this, so you know, it could be interesting. But these are fairly skinny letters. And again, you don't have to cut out a whole sentence. You could just cut out tree or happy. Go simple to begin with. So light up the Christmas. Let's see if I can get Christmas all in. So I'm going to start way over here. I don't think I will. But we can try. So this must be very boring for people to sit and watch. Didn't really think about that when I was doing it. But hopefully it gives you a bit of an idea of the process. Doesn't really take that long once you get into it, but it's just sort of the thinking about it. So again, joining all my letters up so that they have a little bit of strength and have those bridges when you're doing cut pages. And with our shading and so close. This may not work, but I'm just starting over from the edge to see how much I can get in. So I might be a bit tricky with the M. And if it doesn't work, I can cut this bit off anyway, so that works out. Ooh, so close. That'll work. So hopefully you can see the where it's going to be cut out on screen with that white pencil. This is just a really great size, chunky, easy to cut around because it's very square. So if you are new to paper cutting and want to try doing letters, this is a really handy shaped alphabet. Light up the Christmas tree. Cool. Okay, so we've got this written. And again, as I said before, if I wasn't putting the acetate around this, I would move this down, so it would probably be sitting there, and I would cut a border, and the C and the S would be part of the border, if that makes sense. So if you want to move it down, you can do that, but I actually want to have a little bit of space around this to do something. So that's the reason why mine is in a funny place. Okay, now the important thing is make sure you have